Welcome to Rebecca Sounds Reveille. Today we have an exciting returning guest who is going to be a regular on the show. I absolutely adore him, and I know that if you've seen him, you already do, and if not, you're going to love him. Marko Van Dango, he's a retired engineer with creative flair. I've got to tell you, it's incredible the things that he does. He's originally from the northeast coast of England, and he's had a passion from a young age at drawing and being able to do portrait art. And his skills have taken him so many places that have allowed him to just thrive with the things that he's doing. And if you haven't had a chance to learn a little bit, you'll want to go back and see what we've talked to him about before. But I've got to tell you, not only has those skills that he developed worked in the drawing and portrait arena, it has carried over even into songwriting. It has taken him on a whole new journey. He's with us today, and wait till you hear what he's going to share with us. You're going to love it just as much as I already know, and I'm going to also enjoy the conversation today. Welcome to the show, Marko Van Dango.
Thank you, Rebecca. Nice to meet you again, and I thank you for coming on again. It's a return of the Big Bad Wolf.
I love this. I love this so much because the storyline is incredible. The artwork that goes with it is incredible. The music that goes with it is just really, it's motivating. And this time I'm going to have you share with the audience a little bit about what this second book is going to bring to the table.
Yeah. Well, the second book, after I'd written the first one, and I was inspired to come up with a follow-on story for it. Now, to my surprise, I wrote it pretty quickly, and I was excited by it. And actually, I did drawings for it. But the cover art, I actually employed a man from Pakistan, and he did such a fantastic job. Now, if you look at the front cover of The Return of the Big Bad Wolf, the wolf is like Barry Gibb on Staying Alive. I don't know if you've seen the video on Staying Alive. He's got his leather jacket over his shoulder. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And the Big Bad Wolf's returned. And and the story, I was surprised again how I developed the story. Pretty pleased with it. Pretty pleased. Now, the film Serpico from the 70s, I remember watching that. I was impressed by the man because he's so honest, decent, and against the corrupt system in the police, on the police force. Such courage that man had, and it really impressed me. Well, he's introduced into my book as Frank Scorpio. So you'll notice that I do a lot of play on words.
I love that.
Thank you. And then there's another film, because we've taken so many images and sounds into our brains, and we're influenced by many things. And there was a film with Kevin Costner and Robert De Niro in, The Untouchables, about Al Capone. So he also comes into the story, where I call him Al Stallone. And I use certain real events that have happened, especially, say, in the stock market, what happened in the stock market, a stock market crash. I think it might have been 2008, 2009. And also certain phrases that Capone comes out with, or Stallone, are things that he's quoted, the real quotes. Yeah. The other folklore characters like Red Riding Hood, Bo Peep, the Three Little Pigs, they are once again brought into the story. I won't reveal why, because that will be giving the game away. But what really pleased me was when I was wanted to do an audio book for the trial of the Big Bad Wolf, I hit a roadblock. I couldn't go any further. I thought, okay. But then I thought, I want to do one for this second book.
Mm-hmm.
And I found some amazing narrators. And I found a fantastic guy in Australia, Derek Turner at Quarter Pipe Records. And he pieced all the separate or the individual narrations by these people into one story, as a whole, and he integrated them. And what a job he did! He did amazing. Because again, I'll mention the song maybe because the song, as mentioned in the first book, the Big Bad Wolf was not only the Wolf of Ball Street, he also was a rapper. Now, in the second story, I decided to write a song for him. The reasons will become apparent if people read the book or listen to the audio.
I love this.
And once again, Derek Turner in Australia, what a guy, what a man. Because I, excuse me, I'm not a musician, I'm not a singer. So I had to source people to do the singing or for the song. I needed somebody to do the um, instrumentals, and I needed someone to do the trumpet playing. There's a trumpet solo in there, and it sounds fantastic. And through coordination with Derek Turner, I was able. He produced an amazing song because the people who make it amazing are the musicians. I used a guy from America called Jay Nolan for the vocals. He was a guy originally from Argentina, but in Switzerland to do the trumpet part. And then there was Derek who did the rest of the music. And he composed it how I wanted it. I structured it. I knew the structure I wanted and the
Sure.
influence. For example, the trumpet playing was sort of inspired by a song by Spandau Ballet called "I Don't Need This Pressure On." So, so there's been many influences there, and I'm super happy with the audio book. It's amazing.
I am really excited about this because I think the creative structure, like you have shared with us before, is so important where you've taken some modern day storyline, but yet you've taken something that is so, I mean, this is part of just about everybody's childhood and integrated these things. Not only were they weaved within the storyline, but you've been able to carry those out to where it touches all of our learning senses. So some of us are visual learners, some of us are auditory, some of us have to learn through touch, and some of us learn through all of those things. And this is really neat because you are really capturing the essence on a way for everyone to grasp what you want them to know and what you want them to feel, and allow them also to experience and then maybe have creativity and vision and imagination from this. And I think that this is just exceptional.
Mm. Well, I mean, everybody has talent, even people who don't think they have. And all I've done is drawn on resources that are there. Say, for example, people watch movies, watch series, and that can spark their imagination. And
Yeah.
that's all I've done. I've drawn on pre-existing um, things like films, as I mentioned, and I've been fortunate in that I've been able to bring them together or to get those thoughts out of my head and put them down on paper and then go from there. So, so it's something everybody can do if they have a mind to do.
Would you share how you came to actually start doing art? Because many people are not, or at least they don't think that they can be artistic.
Yeah, um, I think it started in well, it obviously started in childhood, and don't have my earliest recollection of me starting to draw, but me and my brother both were interested in art, and we had a little bit different styles, but nevertheless, it was something that interested us. And it's like anything, Rebecca, that if a person's interested in something, then they'll learn it. They'll learn it. Now, as regards art, I, when I was a teenager, and of course you get the things that go along with being a teenager. You mentioned earlier about people saying, "How are you?" and
Oh,
not really
yes.
being interested. Yeah. Well, this guy in the pub was about 18. He said to me, he said, "Oh, sir, you all right?" I said, "Not really, being honest." And he says, "Do you fancy going to college?" This guy's a few years older than me. I said, "Doing what?" He said, "What do you like?" I said, "I like art." "Well, we'll do that then." And that guy in the UK, I mean, you have the O level, which is ordinary, and A level, it's like advanced. On a night class, I got me art A level. But this guy, Dave Jones, he was bashing out paintings like nobody's business. And he developed and he got his A level and he did really well. And you take people like Lowry, an artist, the Matchstock Men and Matchstock Cats and Dogs. We mentioned them last week, didn't we? But everybody's got their own style. And I met a former footballer with my friend. We were out for a cup of coffee in a in a place, in a coffee house. And this man was a footballer. He'd been a footballer for Middlesbrough, Burnley Slaven. Now, he showed me some of his artwork. And I said, "That's really good." He didn't think it was. I said, "What you need to do?" I said, "You need to get an exhibition because he'd done that many paintings and they were really good." He had his own style. So everybody has their own style and
Mhm.
it can appeal to some and maybe not others. So that's my art journey.
I love that because, like you said, everybody has their difference is in style. And we'll go back to learning style. What you said from the very beginning, I think is important because if we're not ready to learn and we're not finding interest in something, we're not going to learn it. And we're going to stop right where our ability is going to stay stagnant to right where we were at that time. And so my perfect example in what you're sharing is this. I did not have interest in art when I was young. I had an art class and I was kind of, here, there. I just did not have any interest. And I could make great stick figures or whatever, but there just wasn't anything to it. And the few sort of maybe animals that I learned how to draw as a kid. That's where it stayed. And it stayed that way from the time I was very, very young until one day, this is way older now. I think I was in my 30s or something. This is way later. I ended up walking into an area where a woman taught art. And she had said, And I can't remember the context of what exactly it was. I knew that she taught art at one time or talked about how she was passionate about it or something to that effect. So I walk in this classroom area where she was at, and I had shared that the same thing that I just told you. And she ended up saying, "Well, this is very simple." And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "When you look at something, don't look at it as a whole, look at these things in the form of shapes." And I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, like you look at this and you'll see an oval, and then draw the oval." And so I listened to what she said, and about, I don't know, a few months later, I get sent to this class. And as I'm sitting there and I'm watching the instructor share all of the things that he's educating us on, and he's kind of moving about the room, the light bulb went off for me.
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, so I I had my pen where I was taking notes or pencil or whatever it was. And I started doing that, looking at the instructor and just, I shouldn't have checked out maybe for those few minutes, but it was a revelation in my world about
Mm.
something that someone taught me on how to learn to do this. And so here I am doing this, and I drew the instructor's face. And when I looked down, it was almost an exact image. And I thought I would have never
Wow.
do that. And it was mind blowing to me. And
Excellent.
so, yeah, so it's exactly what you're sharing that, um, you've got to be ready to learn. You've got to want to learn. And if you're not ready for that and you're not interested, you just don't.
Absolutely. I'm amazed by well done, Rebecca. That's superb. Yeah.
You. Thank you. And that's applicable to, I want to say, just about anything. If
Mm.
you want to have a healthy relationship, you have to continue to develop it. You've got to be interested in learning the things, the essence of making that work. If you want to learn how to bake, you've got to take an interest and whatever it is, there's got to be that interest there. And once you figure out what it is that inspired you, that's it. Just like how you come to create this series.
Yeah, excellent. It's again, it's the inspiration that you receive, and with myself, I've had many crazy ideas, and sometimes I just get them out there. Like I look at things, and I look at things in a humorous way, yeah. And so I write things down. Maybe one time I might do a stand-up routine. I don't know, but so I get these ideas out of my head. And I mean, when you listen to some musicians, some proper musicians, and they might get inspired 3 o'clock in the morning. Think, "Well, I've got to write that down while I remember it,"
Yes.
And so I know we're all different, but that's what you've got to do sometimes if you're inspired. So
I really love that because people can inspire you, places can inspire you, smells can inspire you. And I mean, even when you talk about music, let's say, there might have been something you in the past could never, you meaning any of us, never thought you would listen to or enjoy. And then you take the time to either understand the music or you're around somebody else at a place that allows you at some point to sort of be able to, I don't know, embrace it. And the next thing you know, you're enjoying music from genres you never thought you would enjoy at all. And
yeah,
so what you're saying is just so spot on.
thank you. I know it's with my eldest brother one time. He was in the army, and when he came home from the army, he would put music on. What are you listening to that rubbish for? But through his influence, I got into it. One band was called Hawkwind. When I went to see them at the City Hall in Newcastle one time, oh, they were so loud, I nearly walked out. But it's funny how my tastes change, like you said. So
Yes, it's really interesting, and I think that that will even carry over into other things like literature or things that you may have thought a genre that you wouldn't have read. uh,
Yeah.
I mean, if somebody said, okay, I'm really not into children's but once they learn that the storyline in The Big Bad Wolf with what you've written, it has such weaving of modern day things that people know about that they have been interested. I mean, extremely, um, known across the land, and they're
Mhm.
going to think, this is applicable to me. So yes, I can take a fantasy part of it, and yet also there's some realism, and I can merge these two, and boom, the light bulb's going off on a lot of things here.
Excellent. So long as it inspires people.
Yes, yes. And so you now I know next time when you come on, we're going to talk about another book, but just aside from that, are you working on some other things?
No. I've, I've put a lot of time, I've invested an awful lot of time, energy, mental energy, and money into this. And at the moment, well, what I'm doing, because health is so important to people, and as I mentioned, my sister's got multiple sclerosis, and among other things, and I do look at a lot of videos online regarding health, and I examine them and think, are they, um, is there science behind it? I also look at the comments posted below to see other people's reactions or maybe application of what's being said. So I try and, in layman's terms, I'm not a medical professional, I look at these videos and I think, okay, that's got some mileage in it. And I've just recently bought a probiotic machine because there's a guy on called Dr. William Davis, who has said that a bacteria, a friendly bacteria that's missing from our gut microbiome, is L. reuteri, and he makes yogurt, and using a yogurt making machine, and that exponentially uh, increases this bacteria, but it also gets inside the small intestine, but got a really good, um, well, the microbiome, from what I've been researching, is very important. I mean, I take things like, what do they call it? Sauerkraut. That's very good for the
Oh, yes,
microbiome.
that's right.
Yeah. Fermented foods like kimchi, and there's a Japanese thing called natto, I think, but it looks disgusting, and I think only Japanese will like it.
Well,
So, sorry?
you're right.
Yeah, yeah. So, there's many other things that I try and apply to myself, and if I recommend them to others, I don't recommend them and not do them myself. I try
I,
them out.
I think it's really important that anything that we are going to share with somebody, hey, you need to do this, you should do this, I recommend this. If you
Mm.
haven't tried it, yeah, like, just don't, you should not be speaking on that. But I am with you. Gut health is the number one preventive maintenance for
Yeah,
just about anything that's going to come our way. And it's so amazing to think that just our diet alone can make such a difference in things. And if we're feeling good, and even if we're not, this is a great opportunity for us to sit down and get a hold of the Big Bad Wolf and start listening to the music that goes with it, reading it. And but if your gut health is in a good place, you're really going to be able to absorb more and not be distracted by something. And so, but either way, I mean, either way, this is really such a good opportunity to just, if you haven't had a chance to check this out, you've got to get a cup of coffee, or whatever it is that gets you in a good spot to be ready to get your creative juices and your imagination flowing, because Marko Van Dango, yes,
Thank you very much. The narrations are superb. The characters, they do such a good job. As you've listened to on a little excerpt that I've sent you. Fantastic.
I really love this. I think that there are some things that I hope that the audience will really be able to absorb and take some of these things and apply in their own world. What is really interesting is a lot of people say, well, I have to, just know something specific for it to be applicable to me. But the thing is that we can take almost anything and figure out how we can apply that to make our life better. And your storyline has a lot in there that's going to be able to help somebody to do that. So if they want to grab a copy, what's the best way for them to do that?
I would recommend Amazon Audible because the audiobook, it's funny because this friend I mentioned, he um, he read my first book, somebody that he was helping, and he made it come alive. And the audiobooks make it come alive. If they want the ebook or paperback on Amazon, so Amazon
I
books.
love this. So, okay, for all of you watching and listening, if you want to get a copy, you can do what Marko Van Dango is talking about, but he's really encouraging you to get the audio version. And I would recommend get both so that you can read along and listen at the same time with the narration and be able to really, just really embrace all of it. And then that way it's really kind of like footprinted into your brain, and you'll be able to share the storyline, and maybe even it will help you with something else. Thank you so much, Marko. You're you are just an incredible genius at the things that you have done. I'm really delighted to have you on the show again, and I'm really looking forward to having you back. And we're going to talk about the next one in the next in our next meeting.
Thank you very, very much, Rebecca. I thank you for the opportunity to showcase these things, and it's lovely meeting a lovely human being like yourself. So
Oh, thank you so much. I think the same. I have so much respect for you. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of Rebecca Sounds Reveille. Our goal here is to help make your life a little bit or a lot better, step by step, so that you have all of these different types of resources and tools to, be uplifted and to get you to places that you never dreamed of. I ask that you share this with your friends, family, everybody you know, and everybody that you don't. Thanks for tuning in.